And we're live. What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the RPS Xfinity Series show. I'm your host, JSU. With me today, we got first Big T. Tony, what's going on, brother?
What's going on? Yeah, I'm excited to get to some racing here. I mean, we got the first race was Saturday. We got back to or Sunday. What was the other one? Saturday or Sunday? Got rolling with some fun NASCAR. It's just good to have some real sports back. I'm ready to get some winners from MattyIce today too.
Xfinity Series show. Yeah, that's the question. We need the winners. We got the guy here, our expert guy for trucks, MattyIce. What's going on, brother? How you doing?
Not too bad, guys. Just hanging out. We got a beautiful day up here in Minnesota. Little Tuesday night NASCAR, followed by tomorrow as well too. So it should be fun.
Yeah, outside of the weather here, Matty, which obviously, that's a question mark that we got. Kind of, what do you think broad aspects for this race? And then Kyle Busch, like, what are we doing?
Yeah, I think obviously weather's going to be a big factor. It's a shorter race, much shorter than what we saw in the Cup race on Sunday. So for it to be an official race, they only need to get to 74 laps tonight. So lap times are around 31, 32 seconds. So if you got a green flag run, which you're not going to get because there's going to be a caution at lap 15, a competition caution, they could honestly get to halfway in about an hour to an hour and 15 minutes. So that's going to be something there. Obviously, Kyle Busch is the elephant in the room when it comes to DraftKings. He's $16,000. $5,000 more than Justin Allgaier. But I will be heavy on Kyle Busch. I think he's a guy you can play in cash or GPPs, to be completely honest with you.
All right, so you're going heavy on Kyle Busch. Now, you just said that this race, halfway through, they could just shut it down and say race is over, and it'll be an official race. And you're still willing to pay $16K for Kyle Busch. I think that's what everyone's kind of talking about now. If that's the case, what you're still willing to pay $16K, like load him up?
I am. He's leaps and bounds the best driver in this race. He's starting 24th. There's a competition caution at lap 15. He's going to have a Gibbs pit crew, which is going to give him an advantage as well too. Honestly, I expect him to probably be in the top 10 by lap 15 as it is.
All right. So, Tony, I'm just going to bring this to you real quick. And you got a guy who's $16K. He's going to be, the most popular guy, or at least one of the most popular guys on the slate, probably. $5K more than anyone else. Like, you heard Matty over here, he's saying he's going overweight. What are you doing? Do you like that? What do you think?
Yeah, it reminds me of Westbrook in NBA a few years ago where he was priced way above the field, but he just would go off every night. And we were looking at this last night, talking about the show and just talking about everything that goes with it. And I can't believe he's even in the race. Obviously, I didn't know much about the trucks before last night, really, but I don't understand why he even races. He's the best driver in NASCAR, and he's driving the freaking trucks on a Tuesday night. So I gotta kind of go with him and go overweight, I believe. It's hard to fade a guy when he's starting 26th, right?
26th? Well, not to mention he wins almost 92 or 93% of the races he enters in Xfinity, which is just incredible.
Yeah, so how does it work with the pricing though? Like, he doesn't even probably need to dominate really if he wins, right? Or does he need those dominators?
Well, I think you're going to need some fastest lap points, which I think he's going to set as it is. I think he's going to be the fastest car on the track. The only guy I think who could probably take that away from him is going to be Gregson, because I think he might get out front. But once Kyle gets there, he's going to be the fastest car on the track, and I don't think it's going to be close.
It's funny too, because I keep saying trucks. The chat's making fun of me. It's not even the freaking trucks; it's the Xfinity. So it shows how much I know about this crap. But
we got trucks next week.
Yeah, I've been saying trucks all day too. Obviously, I know it's not the freaking trucks, even though I'm saying it's the trucks. It's just my lingo is not up to par.
Well, it just seems like, I guess we're just calling Kyle Busch the best driver, period, in the sport. So, He does whatever he wants. NASCAR, Xfinity, it doesn't matter. So let's get into it. Let's talk about cash. Matty, give me, some guys you like for cash, and then we'll talk about kind of your core guys.
Yeah, I mean, a couple guys I like for cash who I think make a lot of sense is Daniel Hamrick at 9,100. He's going to be starting 23rd. He's in very good equipment. Has a top 10 this year, but also got wrecked out at 2 races. He likes to ride the high line. I fully expect him to go from 23rd into the probably top 7 by the time it's all said and done. But he gives you a really nice place differential, and I would definitely lock him into your cash lineups. Another guy I really like is Anthony Alfredo. He's starting 17th, also in another very, very good car. You can kind of compare him to Tyler Reddick, which we saw on Sunday. He's a guy who likes to ride the rim, which works out well at this track. He performed very well at California as well too, which is a very similar ride the wall type track. So at his price at 66, I think he's nice and primed to return some nice value.
So who are your favorite guys in each tier? Let's take it from the top. Who's your favorite guy in cash at the top? High price.
At the top, I got to go Kyle Busch. I'm not coming off him. If I had to pick somebody else up there, like I mentioned, I would probably go Hamrick at 91. A little bit cheaper than the rest of the guys. But I think he just offers you so much value that I think you can just lock him in cash and not worry about it.
All right, and then give me one guy in the mid tier and one guy in the low tier. Your favorite guys at each tier.
All right, mid tier. I think the lock of the week is going to be Jeremy Clements. He's $7,100. He's starting 30th. Another guy very similar to Hamrick who has just had absolutely terrible luck. Has a decent car, finished well here. I would expect a easy top 18 out of him tonight.
All right, and then your low price guy.
I have a couple of them I'm on, but the one I feel most comfortable with is going to be Joe Graff Jr. He's 5,900. He's starting 36. Has decent equipment. Now you're not going to get a top 10 out of a guy like this, at $5,900. But we have a lot of starting park guys tonight. So Joe Graff, I think he has good opportunity to probably get you into the top 25. And at that price, I think he more than gets value.
All right, cool. So that's what we're doing for cash. Where are you kind of coming off and getting a little different for GPPs? What are you doing?
Well, I'm kind of splitting my GPPs. So I'm going to have some GPPs with Kyle. But I do think going a rowdy less line, I guess, is going to be your way, obviously, to get really contrarian. If I'm going that route, there's a couple guys up top that I really like, that I think you could pair together. Chase Briscoe, super fast car, likes to ride the outside of the wall, and Harrison Burton. I think both those guys have a chance to win the race if something by chance happens to Kyle.
All right. Tony, what are you thinking about doing in GPPs? What's your strategy here?
So I think the two best guys clearly are Busch and Hamrick. So if we put both of them in there, if we threw them both in there, it looks like we have what remaining, like 62.25 it looks like. But there's a bunch of cheap guys that kind of stick out to me. So I think that's my plan, to get 2 guys up top, Kyle and one other guy. I know Kyle's going to be super high owned, but I think I'm just going to – for me, whenever it's a decision like Kyle in any sport really, I'm either just going to go all in or fade. I know that a lot of people don't do that, but that's just my strategy. Like, if I'm going to fade, I'll probably just fade him on everything. I don't need to hedge. So since I like him, I'll probably just lock him in, go every team. I think I'm playing 50 teams or something on the DraftKings, the big one tonight. So I'll probably just play him on all 50 and then try to find one other pretty high guy with him. Right now, my next favorite is Hamrick, but there's a couple of those guys at the top, like Briscoe, like Matty said. I like Briscoe too. Basically 2 of those guys, and then just kind of go hunting in this value range where, like Matty said, again, you got a guy like Graff Jr., you got Colin Garrett, I guess, at 5,200 looks good. What about this Bassett Jr. starting 32nd? What do we think about him?
I think you can run him as well too. I mean, not a great card, but I mean, you're not getting great cards with any of these guys down here, right? There's quite a few guys at the bottom. The biggest thing in these Xfinity races is you have a lot of starting parks because a lot of these teams don't have money. So what they'll do is they'll start the race, they'll run 10 laps, park the damn car. So luckily for me, I have some guys at the track. I have a pretty good idea of who's going to be running tonight. Another guy you can sneak in there that is going to bring back some value is a guy by the name of Mason Massey. He's $4,700. He's starting towards the rear as well too, and that should help you open up your GPP lineups a little bit.
Now, Matty, Tony kind of talked about in the beginning of the strategy, kind of saying how, most people, in these situations where you have Kyle Busch don't normally either say full fade or lock him in. Mm-hmm. What is your strategy? Are you one of those guys like Tony who likes to just either lock the guy in or full fade, or do you not mind just being a little overweight, maybe going 50, 60, 70%, and leaving a little bit? What's your strategy there?
So, I mean, like for me tonight, like I'm running around 10 lines. I'll probably have Kyle in 9.
Okay. So you're pretty much almost locking him in. At this point, you might as well just lock him in.
The only reason I go that is if by chance he ends up wrecking, right? And then I have a line with Briscoe or Harrison, which, if Kyle ends up being 70%, then I've leaped half the field not having him, and have a good chat at getting your money back. So
that's the thing that interests me is, if he wrecks, and you're saying it like, so I have 9 out of 10 just in case he wrecks. Mm-hmm. But we're also talking about the guy who's the best driver in all of NASCAR, all of Xfinity. I mean, yeah, anything can happen, but I don't know. I guess in this scenario, I'd be more inclined to lean with Tony on I'm either going to play him full or fade him full. Just because if I'm going that far in, I'm just probably going to go all the way in. But that's my strategy. I remember the Westbrook days, and you either played them or you didn't, and it crushed you or you didn't. It's kind of a perfect, analogy there, but that's just the way I do it. But it's interesting that you just have that one lineup saved just in case, just in case. So
yeah, literally just like one solo lineup, man. Just kind of off the wall built.
So lots of people do that too. Like I don't think there's anything wrong as long as you do the same thing every time. Where if you're hedging every time one, I think it's right. But I'm just not big on the hedging. Like I'm fine with losing them all if he crashes. I'm fine with having a chance to win them if he wins.
I've had it pay off for me in the past. I had about a $5,000 hit 2 years ago where I did sort of the same thing, and he got wrecked by somebody else. Nothing to do with him in the slightest. And ended up taking down an $8 GPP for $5,000, literally with one line.
Well, one more question I got about just the tournament builds. So I see a guy like Landon Cassill at the bottom. I see Nemechek at the bottom.
Yeah.
I hear stuff like I preface all this by saying I know nothing about this type of Xfinity race. So do they stop racing sometimes? Like I hear they don't necessarily always finish. So what's the deal with these name guys?
So Landon Cassill is a starting park. I'm hoping some of the fish hop on him because he's starting.
So you don't play him no matter what. He's not finishing.
No, he's not going to finish. No, he's going to probably the only time he might come back out of the garage is somebody wrecks and they can pass him and get, one more position. For a little nicer paycheck, they'll do that. But yeah, there's some guys back here. Landon Cassill, I have no interest in whatsoever. Joe Nemechek, I'm probably not going to touch because he's starting 29th. He may run some laps, maybe more.
He's the same type though, where you just there's no upside with a guy like that.
I mean, unfortunately, those teams, they just don't have the money, right? So we have a bunch of races coming up here. It's going to be prime for those guys to keep their cars intact. A lot of those guys don't have 3 or 4 or 5 cars sitting ready to go. Eeny Curry is another one I probably don't have any interest in.
This Licht, you already said him though, right? This Licht.
Stephen Licht, I think you can definitely play him as well too. I think he's gonna
Oh, you think you can play him? I thought he was one of these park dudes.
Let me just double check my notes here for a second. Give me 1 second. Let me just pull it up.
Someone in the chat was like talking about how they.
And guys too, while you're in there, if you want to throw some questions in there for the chat, we're going to take, a few questions at the end. So if you do have some questions, whether it be cash, GPP, just put it in your question and we'll try and take it at the end of the show.
So let me retract that, Big T. I do have question marks by Stephen Light because he is running a different car this weekend than he usually does. Colby Howard is actually running the car he usually does, which is the 15. So I do know he will not be a starting park as well, too.
Who'd you say won't be?
Colby Howard. He's running the 15 car. He's starting 31st. He'll be running a full race tonight.
Nice. So he's got to be a decent value down in there, too.
I do. I have him marked down as somebody we can throw down there as well, too, to get a little bit different than everybody else.
Okay. I recognize this name, too, at the bottom. BJ McLeod. Like, he's a name I recognize, but he's starting so high we can't play him either, right?
Yeah, he doesn't have a real fast car. He's had some really good finishes this year, but where he's starting is just going to kill him. I mean, that's why DK has him priced where they do. He's almost unplayable, to be completely honest.
Yeah.
All right. Well, last thing we got here is, I want the winner. I want to know who you guys got for the winner. MattyIce, I'll bring it to you first. Who you got winning this thing? Whether it's the half race, or the full race, who you got?
I'm not coming off Kyle Busch, man. I think he's the best in the business. I don't care if it's 30 laps, 40 laps. I think he gets to the front, and I think he gets it done.
All right, Kyle. Tony, who you got?
I mean, obviously, if I had to put my last dollar, it's going to be on Kyle Busch. But just to keep it exciting, I mean, I think clearly the second best guy in the race is Hamrick. I mean, starting 23rd. I think I like Hamrick better than Kyle Busch as far as he's $7K cheaper. As far as everything, if I had to take one guy, I think I'd take Hamrick. Like, I like him a ton.
Yeah, and I'm just going to go with Kyle Busch because he just seems like
you got to pick someone else. You can't be just – it's too easy.
I mean, it's the easy pick, but, I mean, the guy he's going to win. It's just – he's the winner, I feel like. But I get what you're saying if you had to go with someone else. If I had to go with someone else, I'm probably with you. It'd probably be Hamrick. But it's just, we're not taking him out of the equation. Kyle Busch is still in the equation. So I got to go with what I think, and I think he wins.
If I had to pick somebody else, it'd be Chase Briscoe.
Yeah, I like that.
There you go.
Have some stones. JSU's got no stones.
No stones. Nope. All right, guys. So if you do have some questions, throw them in the chat, and we'll try and get to them.
Did we talk about this weather too? Like, what, Matty? What are we doing about this weather? Like, I don't even remember if we talked about it. But
yeah, so I mean, there's a tropical storm out there, is what they got going on right now. So the weird thing is, it's not like it's just been pouring all day because we have some guys that got boots on the ground there. The problem is they've had some mist. It looks like it gets a little bit better the later in the night we go. But with this tropical storm, it's all waves. So you're just seeing like band waves of rain. They're not super, it's not like it's 80 miles wide. They're 10 to 15 miles wide. That's why I'm thinking we might have a chance to get some green flag action tonight. Honestly, in a perfect scenario, this race goes for about 20 laps and then gets rained out till Friday, and then Kyle Busch absolutely slays the field. That would be prime.
If you said what happens if it gets moved to – so where are they racing at Sunday? It's a different place, right?
Charlotte. So the plan for NASCAR is if this gets rained out tonight, so say they get started and only get 20 laps in, it's not an official race, they'll pause the field. So they won't restart the race. It would be moved to Friday, and it would start from lap 20.
And DK will just let it sit there too for us?
Yeah, they'll just let it sit there. They're not going to – they've done this before where they had it a couple years ago at the Brickyard and Daytona, where races got moved to the next day. So everything will just lock and stay there. That would be prime for Kyle Busch, because if that happens, he's going to lead probably from lap 35 to 40 to the end of the race.
Yeah. So that's another question I had, just because, I mean, I've watched a decent amount of NASCAR and played a decent amount, but not Xfinity. So like him starting 26th or whatever, he's 26th, I think. But how quick does he get to the front in something like this?
Honestly, he'll probably pass 5 cars on the first lap. I think most of those guys back there who don't have the equipment Kyle does, a lot of them, you get the respect factor and they're just going to get the hell out of the way because he's going to be coming. There's, like I said, there's a competition caution at lap 15. I would be shocked if he's not top 12 by then.
All right, so we do have a few questions. Maddie, I'm going to throw so JC Reese 11 wants to know who are the likely start and park guys.
Start and park guys in the back. A couple guys that I'm not touching. Bailey Curry. I wouldn't touch Joe Nemechek. Stephen Light, like I said, is a question mark. I can't seem to get a direct answer on him one way or another. Timmy Hill should race. Bassett should race. I would say those are the 3 you want to avoid. If you watch the video and you paid attention, you should have caught on to a couple guys back there who should be good to go. And that's where I would those are the only guys I'm actually looking at in the back that I had mentioned a little bit earlier. So like Massey, Howard, what else we got here? Garrett and Graff.
So Timmy Hill playable?
Yeah, I think you can play. I think you can play Timmy Hill. He's gonna race. He's not gonna get you way up there. I would assume. I mean, if you look at his averages finishes besides Daytona, it's 26th and 23rd. So I mean, that's kind of where his car is. So with him starting, see where is he starting? 28th. You can maybe hope for 4 or 5 point differential, maybe 8 if some guys wreck out.
All right, and then Clemens, do you want to just touch on him real quick because we had a question about him earlier? I think you brought him up, but just touch on him again.
Yeah, I mentioned him in cash. I mean, he's starting 30th. He's got probably, besides Rowdy back there and Hamrick, he's probably got the best equipment of anybody back starting 20th or worst. He's just had some absolutely terrible luck. Got crashed out at Daytona, got crashed out in Vegas, crashed out in Phoenix. He's finished 36, 31, 28, and then has a 9 thrown in there. So, I mean, he has a car that can get top 10. So I'm very, very heavy on Jeremy Clemens tonight.
All right, so 2 more questions. Gregson starting up front. Any interest?
Yeah. If I was building a line that I was fading Kyle Busch, because you're going to need points, I think Gregson has the best shot to get out front early in the race and lead some laps. Clean air is everything. So I have no issue with Gregson. I do have some shares, but I will not be, I guess I would say I won't be overly heavy on him.
All right, and then the last one, Big T, how was BK today?
Oh, I said in the chat, it wasn't strong. I mean, I went through the Chick-fil-A, went through another good chicken place, and somehow ended up at BK with my son, and man, it was not a good move. Not a good move to start the lunchtime session.
I can tell you that. BK's failing.
Gotta get that Raising Cane's, man. Raising Cane's.
See, we got that here. I actually like Guthrie's better than Raising Cane. I like them both. They're both way better than freaking Burger King, but it is what it is. Sometimes you got to roll the dice a little bit in a GPP. You never know if it's going to come out hot. Maybe you taste those fries; they're hot. you got to roll with it sometimes.
All right, we got one more real question, then we'll get out of here. Besides Busch and Gregson, who are the next best dominators, Maddie?
The next best dominators, like I had mentioned 2 of them in GPPs. I like Chase Briscoe. I think Chase Briscoe, being a rim rider at this sort of track, I think could dominate or lead at least till Kyle gets there. Another guy I like is Harrison Burton. He's been driving very well. He's finished 2nd, 5th, 1st, and 2nd in the first 4 races this year. So he's got very strong equipment.
All right. That's about going to wrap it up. Any final words, Tony? Final words here?
Oh, I'm excited. I mean, we got this freaking dude in the chat trolling me, so I'm going to be sending a screenshot with me doing some things on his shoulder here later tonight. So I'm pretty excited. I'm going to put a few extra teams in just for him, but it was
I'm
fun. I
ready
mean, we're on
for-
here talking about stuff that we're trying to help people out and get some info from MattyIce. I never claimed to be a freaking Xfinity expert. I'm on here just having some fun talking. So that dude's going to get a piece later tonight.
Yeah, I'm ready for the don't be R Warren 88. I'm ready for it. I'm ready for that tweet. Matty, well, last words, buddy. Anything?
Hey, man. Good talking to you guys. Gonna be a fun race tonight. Hopefully we get it in tonight. I expect Kyle Busch to win. Hopefully we see a lot of green screens.
Yeah. So I mean, from what Matty said, we just got one more question in the chat. From what Matty said, it seems like they'll hold it right until Friday. Was the question? Do you think they would hold it until Friday? DK?
If they start it, or if they don't.
Yeah. It seems like if they start it, but I'm not sure of the question.
If they start the race, I think DK freezes it and the contest will lock. If NASCAR comes in and postpones this before lock, then I think we'll have time to change lineups after that. But if they plan to race tonight and get any sort of laps in, the contest will lock.
All right. Well, guys, it was great hanging out with you guys. Stay tuned tomorrow. We're going to have another show. I'm pretty sure 10 a.m. Tune in for NASCAR show for tomorrow's race. So tune in for that for sure. But for me, JSU, Big T, MattyIce, we're out.